All right, and now one of the most important concepts for the ETC and maybe JWST in general, that's understanding how the JWST detectors work. The detectors don't work in the same way that typical CCDs do. You don't just set an exposure time and get a single image out. It's more complex than that, and the decision was made a long time ago to allow users to turn many of the knobs to optimize the observations. So I'll show how this works, just so you have an understanding of how to set up an ETC calculation. We'll start with what's known as a frame. So a frame is a non-destructive read of a subarray or the full array. The frame time is a set value. It's the amount of time it takes to read all the pixels within that particular array. And obviously you're going to have a longer frame time for the full array compared to subarrays. Now you can have multiple frames, right? You're non-destructively reading, so you're increasing the counts along the way. And in some cases, the readout pattern will specify that multiple frames be averaged into a group. Sometimes the readout pattern will say drop certain frames for data volume concerns. But most of the rapid readout modes and the mirror readout patterns in particular, a frame is equal to a group. And what you specify in the ETC and in APT are groups. And these are the smallest unit that you get down from the telescope. So you can have multiple of these groups that make up an integration. And you're constantly non-destructively reading up the ramp each time here. And at the end of an integration, you have a destructive readout, the detector resets, and you can start your integration again. And the set of integrations is known as an exposure. And for most modes, you can't change the number of exposures. It's set to 1. So in this sense, an exposure is comparable to a dither. So within each dither, you'll have a certain number of integrations. And then within each integration, you'll have a certain number of groups. And your readout pattern determines how long a group is. So we'll see this more in action when we look in ETC at the detector parameters. But I wanted to put this out there to begin with. We're not making things overly complex by allowing people to set these values. This was a decision made a long time ago, and we're just allowing those options to be visible to the user.